So I'm sure they can tell right now. You can tell he's cheating because he's doing a stir fry. Hi there. Welcome back once again, everyone. Anyone who might be watching, welcome to Cast Iron Wednesday here on YouTube once again, where, as you know, a lot of the YouTube cooking channels do something on a Wednesday with cooking in cast iron. And so here we are once again. And yeah, I've been doing this every day, every Wednesday now for the last several months or so. And I guess I've sort of gotten used to it. And I hope you folks have too. As always, I very much appreciate anyone who shows up to watch. So thank you so much. And yes, as I mentioned, tonight, I guess we are doing this one on the cheap, largely because it's been a very busy couple of weeks. I mean, I whined a little bit about that on my YouTube posting, my so-called community posting, but I'm not going to really get into that too much. After all, that was last week. So, and I had a busy weekend as well. So nonetheless, here we are back in the swing of things, and hopefully this should help refresh me anyway. So, because, you know, when you come home from work tired, and yeah, I'm tired, that's for sure. One of the easiest things to do, the easiest thing to do is get yourself a Walmart microwave pizza and pot pie and throw them in the microwave. Yes. Fortunately, this is a little bit more tasty than that, even though it's still kind of a cheat because it uses nothing more than, well, a lot more than ramen noodle bricks. Yes, indeed. Here we go with our favorite ramen noodles. You know, as you know, starving artists, college students, single guys, people on a low budget, we pretty much live on these things. Well, I live on a lot more than these things, but there is no denying that these things here are popular, and why not? When they cost something like 15 cents a piece or less if you buy them in bulk, then yeah, of course, everybody has had ramen noodles. And there is actually some history behind these things that I'll get into. But one reason why why I brought them out is because, you know, well, we can use cast iron to actually make ramen noodles taste good. They taste all right, otherwise we wouldn't be coming back to them again and again. But why settle for all right when we can actually make them good? And hello to everybody who is showing up. Thank you so much. Hello to all my friends here. Jessica T, Bookworm 73, Timber Bear. Hello. And Papa Dan, hello, CIC, Jamie, and everybody else. Oh, yeah, Papa Dan is here, and he says hi to Jamie. Hey, everybody, says Jamie. And, okay, well, we've got, as I mentioned already, I've shown off some ramen noodles. So now we get to show off the rest of our little setup here.
My personal opinion is Marchan is the better of the ramen noodles. I'm not a big fan of Top Ramen.
Oh, there is that, yes.
Yeah, the Marchan just seems to do... I like the texture of the Marchan noodles better.
They do have a better taste, yes. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've eaten those Nissin Top Ramen ones,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Those taste too. What's the word? Yeah, that's a good word for it. Yes,
styrofoamy. Yeah.
These things actually taste edible.
Yeah. And if you cook them like I cook them till they have a little bit of translucency too. Mm-hmm. But those Top Ramen ones, they never get translucent.
No, they don't.
It's like stringy styrofoam
or cardboard. Yes.
And when they take on too much water, they literally just disintegrate.
Mm-hmm. No arguments there.
Yeah. So hello, everybody. Hi, Papa Dan.
Hello again.
Pegtooth. Is Pegtooth here yet?
I haven't seen Pegtooth yet, but here's Randy Hebert and Jessica T and Bookworm 73. Hello from Southwest Louisiana. Yeah, I'll bet you eat ramen noodles even down there in Southwest Louisiana. Even though
live, I'd be interested in doing a roll call, see where everybody's from. Yeah. I'd be interested to see.
Might do that. Yeah. I mean, we've got a few people from Louisiana. I think there's at least one person in Europe who shows up.
Yes.
She regularly says that she has to go to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So yeah. So anyway, sorry you missed Brimfield. Probably overpriced since it was the first one in a while. Well, that was the thing about Brimfield. I mean, Brimfield, as pretty much I mentioned last Wednesday, is really where you go for the hunt. If you remember, I did that Brimfield video a few years ago where, a lot of that cast iron there was incredibly overpriced. I don't deny that. And yet, on the other hand, part of the fun is just going there and looking at it, just seeing all of that stuff in person. And every once in a while, you do make a great score there. But hey, there's always more. I'm actually thinking of going out and doing some antiquing this coming Sunday, for instance. But
they got rained out super hardcore this weekend too. We had like monsoons this weekend.
Here. So I heard. Yeah, apparently a fair amount of Brimfield was flooded, unfortunately. All right. Anyway, meanwhile, back to the cast iron. Where hello again to our Lodge 14-inch cast iron wok. Yeah, I love this thing. I've told my story already about this wok for a good reason. This was the very first piece of cast iron that I actually purchased willingly on my own. I used a Christmas gift certificate to get this thing in January of 2011. It has lived in my kitchen. I have given it a beating. It has been injured, sort of, not cracked, but I actually managed to warp it. Fortunately, with a wok, having a hot spot in the center is really what it's designed for, so that wasn't so bad. On the other hand, here's another little star of my kitchen, and that, of course, would be the Wagner aluminum Dutch oven, which I have mentioned before. I find to be simply the best water boiler I think that I have ever owned and used, and I very much enjoy that. However, before we get started with that, we've got to start preparing, so to speak, our ramen noodles, which means, of course, and of course, this is so hard. That means we get to do just, I'm not even going to break these things up, there's no need to do so. I'm debating whether or not I should throw this packet away because I'm not going to use it. What? Well, there is that. Yeah. All right, I'll save it and we'll use it when we need bouillon. And there's 2 and 3. I probably don't even need 3. There's probably going to be too much of it here, but hey. Yeah, as J.R. Bob Dobbs likes to say. Yes.
But they're not here to eat it.
This is true. Well, as Bob Dobbs says, too much is always better than not enough. So.
I don't think that refers to ramen.
Yeah. And the nice thing about ramen, of course, is how fast and easy it is to prepare. So let's just get this started. I'm going to be draining this when it's done because I'm not making a ramen soup, noodle soup, like everybody usually does with their ramen. So all I need to do is just cook this stuff until it's, as they call it, al dente. Plop. And I'll have another use for this bowl in just a little bit. There we go. That should not take long at all. And I think I'm going to wait until this is done before I start the stir fry because I know myself by now. I would end up losing track of one thing or another and end up burning them. So anyway, nonetheless, so hello again. Hi there to Jolene Cole. Mike Smith Academy Sports Online has them. Oh, yeah. And yeah, hello, Book and Randy. And when we're talking about Papa Dan and everyone, where can I find a cast iron wok? That's what you were talking about. Yeah. This is the Lodge cast iron wok. And of course, they have it on their own website. You can find it less expensive on Amazon. And that's where I got this one, in fact. Once in a great while, I have seen this on sale, even at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. And furthermore, if you're lucky enough to go to the Lodge outlet store down there in the South, in the Tennessee area, for instance, you are likely to find one of these things at a cut rate price. Beyond that, Asian makers also sell these things. I mean, besides the thin woks that they sell, at just about any Asian market, which, by the way, As I've mentioned before, I have an electric stove and I cannot use a thin wok on it. I mean, if and when I ever get a gas stove, I'll be psyched to get myself a thin wok. But until then, it has to be a thick and heavy cast iron wok because that way it'll do exactly what it's doing here. You rest it simply on the burner and let it absorb soak up the heat until this thing is blazing hot enough to do a stir fry. And there are several Asian makers of these that actually make these things at dirt cheap prices, and you can often find them at discount stores in that case. I remember there's one line of discount stores here in the East Coast area, the Christmas tree shops. And I have seen this thing on sale, not the Lodge brand, but an Asian-made brand called like Mr. Barbecue or something, on sale for only 20 bucks it was, too. And it was a nice size, too. It was either 12 inches or 14 inches. So, and at that price, if you want a cast iron wok, yeah, I wouldn't pass up on it. They do actually sell these things sometimes at Asian markets as well. So the best I could say is to look, and that's not going to take very long. Mike Smith, yeah, Pawpaw Dan, I ordered mine online from Walmart. So how many people here from Louisiana? There are at least 2 right now, I think. So I have the small wok from the Lodge website. Yeah, Lodge within the last few years introduced their smaller mini wok, as they call it, which is essentially like a redesigned Scotch bowl. If you have a vintage cast iron Scotch bowl, for instance, that will make a perfect cast iron wok as well. And for that matter, it's not necessary to own a cast iron wok, as you know, to do a good stir fry. You can do that really in any cast iron pan. You can do it in a nice cast iron skillet, which many do. You can do it in a Dutch oven, which many do. I just happen to think that a wok is really the best thing there is for doing a stir fry. And as such, if you like doing stir fries, I highly recommend it. Meanwhile, it looks like we're already starting to have a boil over here with the ramen. And that's why, as I said, I wanted to wait until this was done before starting the stir fry, because I would tend to forget this. I have no doubt about that. And look at this. This is probably just about ready already. I'll just let it go for maybe another minute or so and then drain it. And that part will be done. Then we can get down to our stir fry. And that's one reason why, of course, people love doing these stir fries. They are so easy to do. This is the type of thing you could do if you come home tired from work like I did tonight. So, which was one reason why I decided to do a stir fry tonight. I was debating whether to do this or maybe take out the bundt pan and bake a cake. But on the other hand, that'll probably happen next week. Nonetheless, the subject is, yeah, it has to do with stir fries. And yeah, I'm going to be talking a lot about that because I'm doing a stir fry. But again, we are, as always, open to pretty much any questions you have at all about cast iron maintenance, modern or even vintage. As I mentioned already, for instance, a vintage Scotch bowl makes a perfect cast iron wok. And I would certainly recommend trying that if you haven't done. Ooh, that's hot. If you haven't done so already. Especially since those Scotch bowls are also easy to find. Those gate-marked Scotch bowls can be found just about everywhere because they're made so many of them in the 19th century. A lot of times they will be seen overpriced at antique malls, yes. And yet sometimes you can actually get a decent deal on them, even at an antique store. I remember seeing one at an antique store, and I think I actually got it and then ended up giving it away or something for about 22 bucks or so. That was for a nice decent size gate marked Scotch bowl that did not have any other markings on the bottom, and it was a little smaller than this. Oh yes, how could I forget? Several years ago, if you've seen my Facebook, you may remember once at an antique at a flea market, not an antique store, I came across a genuine Griswold Erie. It was an Erie Scotch bowl, and it was a nice sized one, and it was 15 bucks. You better believe I snatched that up. You do not pass up on deals like that. I ended up cleaning it up, and I think I actually sold that one on Iron Man cast iron auctions because, well, I had no need for it. I don't want collectors. I want users. So that one was a nice deal. I think I ended up selling it for something like $40 or $45. So The seller got a good price on it too. I mean, $45 for a nice large size Erie Scotch bowl. That's certainly nothing to complain about. And yet, since I only paid $15 for it, I can't complain with what I sold it for. All right, having said all that, I think we're about ready here to drain these noodles. So let me get that out of the way. As always, appreciate everybody's patience here. And once we get that out of the way, we will get down, as I said, to some stir frying. Turn this up more. So turn this off. This and drain it. I know there can be some use for this water, but I really don't see any need for it right now. So let's just drain this out. Keep this off the heat. And yeah, I think 3 bricks of ramen noodles were about right. So this will make a nice stir fry. This is, of course, as it cools off, it is going to clump up. But fortunately, doing the stir fry will actually break it up and make it into and give it a nice consistency. So there's a hint for you there. Yes, I have sesame oil. Can definitely do that. All right, move these things away a little bit. And now, oh, there is that. Yes, I didn't think of that. I'll have to use some hot water. But fortunately, I have some other things. One more pause, folks, and then we'll get down to this. Here we are. And where did my tongues go? All right, don't tell me they're still here. Here we are. Good. And I've had marinating in the fridge for a while. Got myself some top round steak and cut it into thin slices. And this has been marinating in the fridge with a combination of rice vinegar and soy sauce. So hopefully this should be good and tender. At this point, all we really need to do is to dredge it in cornstarch, which is exactly what we're going to do, and start frying. So, there's always one last thing. Frying oil, here we are. Getting low on peanut oil. I do still have plenty of canola, but I mean, as you know, peanut is really the best you can do for a nice stir fry, especially when doing meat. All right, while we're waiting for this to heat up, let me quickly do this. Check a couple more comments. Yeah, I know, folks really love that sound. Okay, what do we have? Meanwhile, while we're waiting here, wish I could see your Wappick Scotch bowl. Ooh, somebody's got a Wappick Scotch bowl. Nice. Don't do a lot of stir fries. Yeah, no special care required. Wish I could find a CHF chicken fryer. Wow, some people have made some really nice finds, I see. That's the only Wappick I've come across. I didn't even know what it was, but bought for $5. So there you go. That's the type of score again that you don't want to pass up. So congratulations for you on that. Scrolling up here, we've got, yeah, as mentioned, Bookworm 73 found a small Wappick Scotch bowl a while back at a flea market, but haven't used it yet. Busta Base, don't do a lot of stir fries. When I do, got a carbon steel one that does the job. No special care required. Well, yeah, as I mentioned, if you have a gas stove, then yeah, those carbon steel woks, those thin woks are really, really nice. Meegs Tom Tom had a chance to buy a Chicago foundry chicken fry with a lid, hammered finish. Wife said no. Oh, I had better not comment on that. What? It's on.
All right, starting smoking here.
Oh, yeah, that's because we put peanut oil in. So only $5. Double congrats, definitely. And having said that,
I think he's in there with me right now, anyways. I'm going to shut the door.
okay.
No, I'm going to open the door.
Okay. Having said that, let's dredge some of these in cornstarch.
Back here. Oh shit, he heard me.
Yeah.
He heard me.
Yeah. Trouble living up to his name again?
He heard me say, I'm going to shut the door.
That's no surprise.
Stand there, buddy.
Yes, indeed. All right. There we go again. Time for some action. Come on. Yeah. Always one thing after another here, isn't it? Isn't that the case? That's what that was. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. That sure didn't take long, that's for sure. This thing going. And once this is ready, again, we'll be doing this in batches, of course. Ah, yes. So this is going to be a very basic beef stir fry, as I mentioned already. This is top round, which I've tried to cut into very, very thin slices so that it should not take long to cook. Basically, you know that when it's done, when you can actually cut the pieces with the spatula and you don't need a knife.
Are you doing the way you did the second one? I forget the name of it.
The velveting?
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't have the time to do that, unfortunately. I probably should have. But nonetheless, I've done my best to tenderize it using the rice vinegar. And having said that, yeah, nice thing about doing a stir fry is, again, I find it to be very relaxing. I've said before, I consider my cooking to be a kind of meditation because just that, it's very soothing. I find it very calming, and it kind of like helps me to zone out from the real world too, or at least the rest of the world, I should say. You know, just can concentrate on this, and as such, that's one good reason why I like cooking as opposed to simply throwing a pot pie in the microwave. Not to mention the fact that this is going to taste a little better too. So we're off to a decent start so far. I think we can throw in maybe a little bit more of this. And once this is done, we will be able to do our aromatics. Yeah, there we go. Starting to get some smoke or steam, either one. So we're off to a bad start. Considering this is the rest of my cornstarch, I better be careful with this. It'll manage. We'll get it. We'll get it to work. Oh yeah. Chinese stir fry, ancient Chinese secret. Because not all of those ancient Chinese secrets are myths and fakes. Some of them are, but some of them are genuinely based on experience, such as the whole concept of the wok and the wok shovel, the chan. Not everything from China is bad. These days, just my saying that would probably cause some political comments. Please don't. There is no denying that, yeah, while some things are Chinese imitations, yes, I will shy away from, including some Chinese cast iron. This, however, is a Lodge made in USA imitation of a Chinese wok. And I think they improved on it, at least as far as the use on an electric stove goes. Nonetheless, China and that area of Asia, they invented and perfected wok stir frying, and more power to them. Certainly have no complaints about well-made Chinese food, or even imitation Chinese food, like the kind that we see at fast food Chinese places here in the USA. And there's nothing wrong with that stuff either. Yes. As mentioned, this is the Lodge so-called ProLogic wok. Several years ago, maybe a decade or more ago, in fact, Lodge came out with this line of what they called their ProLogic series, some of which was pretty good, some of which wasn't. Their main idea was that the design of these pans would not have any corners or angles. Everything would be curved in one way or another. So instead of one long handle, they did these shapes of the handle here on the wok, and this was one of the better designs. They also came out with a ProLogic skillet and grill pan that didn't seem to work out very well. I mean, you notice you never see those things now for sale. Not at Lodge's site, or even in Seconds, or even in leftovers or flea markets or the like. They just prefer going for the vintage style as far as the skillets and the grill pans are concerned. So yeah, not everything worked. On the other hand, as I said, I have no complaints at all about this wok. I have been using it now for, yeah, as I mentioned, just over 10 years, going on 10 and a half years now. And I see no end in sight of using this wok. I see no need to upgrade to a newer or different style wok. When I actually get a gas stove, and yes, that will happen, can only see how well it will work on this Lodge wok, and frankly, I'm looking forward to finding out. Having said that, this is doing a nice job frying these things up, that's for sure. And once we do this, I'm going to deglaze this pan anyway. Yeah, that's because of all the because of the cornstarch. Deglaze this pan and make a sauce. And I do believe it is actually reaching that point. So this batch is doing pretty good. While we're at it, let's see what else we have here. Jessica and Pawpaw, yeah, where's our dinner invitation? If I went to antique bookworm 73, if I went to antique flea markets, I probably wouldn't buy a thing. But regular old flea market price stuff really good. Yeah, you never know. Papa Dan, I understand what you're saying, but cast iron is so popular down here that even the ordinary flea markets have their cast iron at higher prices. Bust a base. Bought a Chinese double base for $800. Sounds as good as my buddy's $5,000 USA make. That's a point you have to weigh the variables. Oh, yeah.
So, dinner invitation?
Yeah.
Anytime you guys are in Massachusetts, any one of you, anybody, I would be upset if you didn't stop by for dinner.
No,
if you're in Massachusetts. If anybody ever comes to Massachusetts, please let us know. It'd be great to possibly meet up, you know?
No, there is that.
Maybe go to lunch or something, or,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, especially.
I'd be hurt.
Yeah.
I'd be hurt.
Especially since the neighborhood we live in is not the type of thing where we would really want them to drop by.
Oh, come on, get shot.
Yeah. But on the other hand, yeah, being here in Massachusetts, there are plenty of places we'd be more than happy to take you to.
Surprisingly enough, yeah, we do live in a neighborhood where it's actually kind of the worst neighborhood in the city right now.
Yeah.
unfortunately, which is it's crazy because as the new baseball stadium just opened up, which we can see from our driveway. And it's that close to all this new up and coming, Worcester, this renaissance of Worcester, and this up and coming Worcester, all the stuff they're doing, and within a 16th of a mile from the stadium, actually within a block or two from our house. So far, there was like 5 shootings. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of
not the best neighborhood.
No, but they've amped up their the patrols and everything, so it seems to have calmed down.
Yeah, and you've said the city we live in.
Yeah.
I have that's one reason why.
And when it goes in your arm, maybe you want to come at it from the camera angle.
Oh, it's too much about that.
Well, yeah, because
Okay.
like, a lot of it's your arm.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, well, we'll move it more towards that way.
That's what I was thinking. That might be better.
How's that?
Well, yeah.
A little better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for your advice.
Yeah, because it was a lot of your arms.
Anyway,
Perfect.
one more comment about the city, and that is that there's that's one reason why, frankly, I outright lied to Facebook when I declared what city I live in on Facebook.
Oh, Boston.
Actually, I said Brockton.
Okay. Why? Really? Brockton's separate from Worcester?
No, but it's distant from Worcester. It's far away from this place.
Oh,
that was the main reason.
Brockton's a step up from Worcester?
Yeah.
What world? That's crazy if that's true.
Yeah. However, no, I blatantly lied to Facebook, largely because, as you know, Facebook makes a profit off of our personal information. And I do not like that. And that was why I intentionally lied to Facebook. There, I've said it there, live on YouTube. I lied to Facebook.
Oh, you rebel. Watch out. Here comes the bad guy. The bad guy, cast iron potato.
And frankly, I would encourage anybody else to do that too.
Lie.
Yes, lie to Facebook.
People get that. He's encouraging everybody to lie now.
Well, there's a good reason. I mean, have you ever gone on, they call it ego surfing. You go onto Google and you look for anything involving you. You Google your name.
I don't, but that's what
There are a lot of these cheap sites out there that claim find anybody, discover anyone online, in which they basically do data mining. They essentially, they scour the internet for all kinds of raw data and then gather it together and then sell it to you as information so that you can find out somebody's name and address and their criminal record and all that.
Yeah, you can get that all on your own. It just takes a little bit of time.
Unfortunately, because of what I did, if you Google my name and try to find information about me, a lot of the information will not be accurate. And
let's not get into that.
no. Having said that, I think let's change the subject a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not telling you my last name. Do not Google me, please.
Yeah.
Not like me anymore.
Nah. That's why I don't like using real people's real names online.
Yeah.
Anyway, the barbecue shack. I get my cast iron at Goodwill bins. Not sure how many people have them, but they just weigh what you get, and sometimes you pay $1 each for cast iron. Yeah, that's assuming Goodwill doesn't get them first and then put them on their own auction website, which they have. So.
Well, they gotta make money too.
Well, yes, they do. That's true. I mean,
they do a lot for the public,
No, there is that. There's, like everything else, Goodwill has a lot of politics involved, and there are a lot of people who say bad things about Goodwill's management because of the politics involved. I do my best to. Oh yes. Well, I do my best to stay away from the politics. Otherwise, I'd be boycotting probably half of the companies in the world, large and small. I mean.
A lot of really cool, ugly, shitty vintage clothes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. Now, I will fully admit things like Walmart is an evil retail corporation, and I have pity for people who work there. My brother works there, for instance, and it's a real shame of what they do, of how they treat their workers. I will not deny that. And yet, on the other hand, Walmart, they come into a neighborhood, and they pretty much drive all the rest of the competition out of business, so that really there's no place to go but Walmart.
Yeah. On one hand, like they're treating their employees and stuff like that, like there's the other side too, where sometimes people are not hireable.
Yeah.
And Walmart will hire them.
Yeah, there is that.
So if you have enough sense about you and you can get a job somewhere else, obviously you should get a job somewhere else.
Think I'm out
but
of.
if that's what's available and they're willing to hire you, then it's like,
oh yeah, it's yin and yang. Unfortunately, I mean there's a lot of gray area. It's I mean there's some black and white. A lot of it is gray.
Yeah.
And at the same time too, I have advised people to go to Walmart. That should be enough there.
Okay.
That should I have. Yeah, you want to try? Sure. I have advised people to go to Walmart to buy Yeah. What? Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't added the brown sugar yet. Need to do that. Anyway, I have indeed advised people to go to Walmart to buy cast iron because, well, it is indeed among the lowest prices you can get. And yes, you can buy made in USA Lodge cast iron at Walmart. So I have not shied away from doing that. I have said that if people want I've gotten questions, I'm about to buy my very first piece of cast iron. What would you recommend? I would say go to Walmart. Spend $15. I understand the price is going up slowly, but spend $15 and get a Lodge 10-inch skillet. As a person's very first cast iron pan, you cannot do better. In fact, if you want to spend just a little bit more, go to the camping section at Walmart because they're still selling their wildlife series skillets there. And you can get a Lodge 10-inch skillet with a nice wildlife design on the bottom. Yeah. Oh, good. And I forget what they're selling right now for their 10-inch skillet. Is it? I think it's either a deer or a bear or something. Anyway, for like maybe $20, you can get a nice Lodge 10-inch skillet with that design. And hey, wouldn't you know it? That would make a nice present to give anyone. So yeah, there's yin and yang about that. There's no denying that. And I'm still mostly staying out of that kind of politics. I've been involved in some kind of politics. I don't deny that. I've said before things like about the so-called gluten intolerance, most of which doesn't exist, or GMO fears, which mostly are fake, or organic crap, which is mostly a ripoff. Those are the type of politics I have gotten involved with, and I will not shy away from. But business politics, not so much. Because you can get into business politics about anyone. I mean, okay, here's the thing. The last time I was at the National Cornbread Festival, and I was chatting with some of the employees at Lodge Cast Iron because, they not only run the Cornbread Festival, but they take part in it, and everybody has a great time there. And there's a lot of just casual chit-chat going on. Apparently, among other things, there was some local politician who was trying to run against the big evil corporations. And who was the big corporation in that area? Lodge Cast Iron. So this politician was running for office by bashing Lodge's business practice every which way they could. Considering that pretty much half of the entire town of South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, is employed by Lodge Cast Iron, well, that didn't make him very popular in that area of the state. I will say that. I don't even know the name of that politician. I don't even know if he was elected. I hope he wasn't for that reason, because he was doing it especially. He was bashing Lodge especially to get elected, not because Lodge had bad business practices. And yeah, I've said before, I think Lodge is a world-class company. Have I rambled on enough yet? Good evening, everyone. Hey, Peg Tooth is here. Good evening from Alberta, Canada. For the whole past week, the skies have been a nicotine yellow here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here too, even in New England. The last few days, I've been driving to work with a blood red sun in the sky. Yeah, the smoke from those wildfires down in the south has blanketed the entire country. So, yeah, on one hand, it's given some interesting sunrises. Like I said, you've got a blood red sun out there. Red sun at morning. Sailors take warning. And Busta Bay's antique dealer here has a large cornbread festival skillet. Nice. She wants $980 for? Wow. Yeah, I made sure when I went to the National Cornbread Festival to pick up their souvenir skillet and they were selling it for either $15 or $20. So for $20, I got the National Cornbread Skillet 20th anniversary. It's a number 5 8-inch skillet, and I've used it several times, and I'm glad to own it. $80, huh? Yeah. That's how the what's the good word? Not so much the antique market, the speculator market. I guess that's one way to put it. Or vultures, resellers. That's it, resellers. You know, the same people who go to antique flea markets and the like, just especially to get stuff to sell at their flea markets. Book sales too. For a while, I was going to library sales regularly. When back in my old life, probably like about 10 years or more ago, we were going to book sales regularly. And one of the things those library sales had to do was find ways to weed out resellers. You know, used bookstore employees would go to library sales, especially to clean out the good books so that they could resell them at their own stores. And that's how it goes. Of course, on the other hand, when you find a good score at a flea market or at Brimfield or wherever, well, it's your choice if you want to try reselling it. I have resold a few pieces on Facebook myself, not many. I don't make a living off of it. Some people do make a living off of it. As I mentioned already, one of the cast iron YouTube channels, her name is Lady Liberty Stacker. I've mentioned her a couple of times. She's a reseller. I mean, that's her job. That's her business. And she devotes her channel to helping sell her cast iron. Okay. That's her business. She has every right to do it. And let's see, what else do we have here? Bookworm, have you been to any library sales? Yeah. Well, actually, you can find some great stuff at library sales. Books are great. I mean, cookbooks. And there was this local library in the Boston area. In fact, I think I even took a picture of the sign they had. In the same aisle, they had science fiction, they had science, and they had cookbooks, all in the same aisle. I was happy about that. Love science fiction, yes. In a way, I like seeing cast iron prices are up. It keeps people from giving it to the landfill. There is that, yes. I mean, of course, there are scrappers too. People who who make great scores, going to, well, just that, junkyards and picking up and finding incredible scores in rusty cast iron at the junkyard. Sometimes they pay like $1 a pound for it. And yeah, you've seen some of those scores. There are some of those collector groups where they make incredible scores like that. One of my favorite Facebook groups, in fact, for that is a collectors group, especially I think these days they call themselves Lodge, BSR, and Hammered. They originally started out as a BSR group, and I learned a lot about BSR from that group, but they've since expanded to include vintage Lodge and Hammered pieces. And yeah, they have some incredible sites on there. Some of the people out there are really professional scrappers. They are really great at salvaging. And it made some incredible deals that way. Yeah. Think that meat's about done now? Well, I certainly hope so. Let's find out. If it is, then we are good. Like I said, you can tell it's done when you can cut it with the spatula. That's something I learned. And as a matter of fact, we're getting about there, I think. Maybe about a minute or so, and then we'll finally be able to move on to something else. Because, yeah, I can see this has been so exciting. Although I have to say this meat sure looks pretty darn good at this point. Nice and simple, as I mentioned. This is no more than top round steak. This time, it was like $4.99 a pound. Beef in general has, like everything else, the prices have gone up. So $4.99 a pound isn't bad. That means I paid, about $6.25 or so for a pound and well, maybe a little more than that, because the steak cost a pound, weighed a pound and a quarter. And that's plenty for this meal. Here we go again. Well, thank you very much for the donation. I wasn't honestly looking for it. Do you only cook with cast iron, or do you also own nonstick? Thanks. I do not only cook with cast iron. I cook mostly with cast iron. I do not own nonstick. For its simple reason is that it wears down. Even the best nonstick pans only last maybe a couple of years or so of heavy use. Whereas, as I mentioned already, I've been using this Lodge wok here for 10 years and have no intention of giving it up. I also have this aluminum, like over here, this Wagner aluminum Dutch oven, for instance. And we have another stainless steel saucepan as well that I got for Jamie that she's used a few times. Yeah, she totally forgot she even had that. Yeah. And yeah, but the vast majority of my cooking is in cast iron, yes, largely because, there are only two of us living here. If I had a large family, who knows, that might actually change. But I don't think I will see myself ever getting a nonstick pan because there's no use for it. I mean, if I had to branch out, I would probably get just that, a stainless steel pan or one of those layered pans, like All-Clad, for instance. Because this is how I've learned to cook. I learned to cook on cast iron, and I'm so glad I did. So because of that, I am not using nonstick. I'm sure if I ever really use a brand new nonstick pan, I will probably be flabbergasted. Yes, I just used the word flabbergasted. And yeah, you're probably right. This meat is probably done by now. Yeah. All right, so we've got ourselves. Well, this was the hard part anyway. Everything else after this is easy.
Did he hurt you?
What?
Did he hurt you?
Did who? The person who asked that?
I'm joking. I'm saying, did he hurt you?
Oh.
What did he ever do to you?
Oh, yeah.
That's joking.
Yeah. So, but here we go. We got a nice bowl full of meat. You want another piece? Come on.
Oh, shit.
Told you.
Oh, shit.
All right.
See, I'd go a little bit sweet to it.
Okay, well, yeah.
Take out a little bit, retain a little bit for me for sweet.
Okay, yes. I'm going to make a sauce, including with some brown sugar, so. Okay. You want a little
tiny bit for him. I'm brown sugar.
Okay. Here we go. Here's some for you. All right, now that that's done, let's get down to some more cooking. Maybe something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more of this oil. And the rest, that was the hard part. The rest of this is going to be much easier. Thank you for waiting on that. The meat's always the hardest part. Heat this up a little bit. And away we go, as the saying goes. And from here, we get to throw in ginger and garlic, because this is the mirepoix of Asian cooking. Ginger and garlic. And celery. Oh, yeah. And once we heat these up, actually, I got one other thing. And yeah, I'm kind of cheating. I'm using a can, actually. But hey, baby corns. Love baby corns. Everybody loves baby corns. And yeah, I know. Everybody does the same thing with baby corns. At least once, you've got to take one of those baby corns and you just got to eat it bit by bit and row by row. It's like a law of nature or something. So let's throw that in. Da-da-da. That was the hard part. This is the easy part coming up. Now that we've done that, just a little bit of liquid, which will be just enough. Throw in some salt, pepper, a little bit of sesame oil, just a bit. Sesame oil is strong stuff. We don't want it to overpower it. And as Jamie noted, where did I put it? There it is. Something sweet. In this case, throw in some brown sugar. I'm not even measuring this, if you notice. I'm kind of like eyeballing it. I don't know. I guess after a while, it's like you get used to it. So, there we go. That will definitely help sweeten it up. And to keep it from getting too sweet, to this, you'll add a little bit more soy sauce. And that should be enough, quite frankly. I'd say we've pretty much got a sauce in the making here underneath. Yeah, definitely. In fact, we're going to have to reduce the sauce a little bit. And I already have the heat up pretty hot, too. So, yeah, I've definitely got to reduce this and make it thicker. I was going to add water, but I can see there's no need now. And while we're waiting, let's see what else we have here. Hey, pig tooth. Yeah, I wish I could help. I wish I could pay for the ingredients. No, that's really not necessary, but thank you very much for the offer. I mean, as I mentioned enough times, this is my hobby, and it's really what I enjoy doing it. I'm doing this really, as I said, because I enjoy it. So, but thank you very much. Guy down the street at House of Chan would have had the meat ready to go in 2 minutes. Yeah, the big difference, of course, is that he has a professional rocket stove type of burner on his, and I don't, unfortunately. I have a cheap electric stove, which is why I can only gradually heat this wok up enough so that, yes, I can do a stir fry, but no, I cannot do that blasting stir fry that you get. So then you just chum, 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 chum. Then it's done. I cannot do that. I wish I could. But you do what you have to. That's all I can say, unfortunately. Nonetheless, this is already boiling. So in just a few minutes or so, this should be reduced enough so that it be a thicker sauce. And then we'll be just about done, in fact. And the last soy sauce I found within my budget was China Lily brand. Well, I use this stuff, which I'm told is mostly coloring, but I enjoy it. I've been using this type of stuff for years. And you go to an actual Chinese market and you can buy these huge bottles of it for about $1.50 to maybe $1.80 or so. And it's even so, it still kicks the crap out of Kikkoman. That's for sure. Yeah, as you can see it's definitely bubbling up. So I've got to keep stirring it, and it will reduce. In fact, it's already starting to reduce, I think. So we are doing pretty good here. At which point now, all I'll really need to do is add the noodles and then one other ingredient, which I should probably add now, in fact, at this point. Baby button mushrooms. There we go. Don't even have to cut them up. Probably could, but I love mushrooms. by the time these mushrooms are cooked, I think everything will be done. In fact, this would make a nice, decent little veggie stir fry in itself. Now we've got the little baby carrot, the baby corn, celery, these mushrooms. Yeah, there's no such thing as too much mushrooms as far as I'm concerned. But from here, it's nice and easy. All we're going to have to do at this point is, once it's all hot and everything, we just mix in the noodles and the meat, and we're done. So appreciate everybody who's stuck around. Do you ever go back and read our comments to ascertain what we are discussing? Might give you ideas for future videos. Oh, yeah, I definitely do that. So, yes. I mean, yeah, maybe it's ego or the like, but yes, I do watch these live videos afterwards and look the comments over. So that's part of the fun of it. And as I've said enough times, that's why I encourage everybody to please comment. Please talk about this. Well, really, pretty much if it involves cast iron, maybe even if it doesn't, please feel free to comment. I am not, as you can see, I am not really strictly keeping a topic on this. So even though this is a stir fry we're going on here, I've talked about Walmart. I've talked about, well, mushrooms. And of course, we've talked about making cast iron scores, which is always an interesting topic. You should try teriyaki sauce instead of soy sauce. Yeah, I should make my own teriyaki sauce. I don't deny that. The best soy sauce, like we said that part already. Yeah, like your comment about House of Chan. As I said, I would love to have that kind of a wok, and maybe when I get a gas stove, I'll be able to do that kind of a stir fry. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. As I said before, it will happen. I've actually been looking for another place this year, but have not had much luck, unfortunately. Other things have come up. I know people often say that. Other things have come up. But unfortunately, other things have come up. Like breaking my wrist and stuff like that. Nonetheless, I do not intend on staying here much longer if I can help it. I really want to upgrade to a better apartment with a much better stove, if at all possible. Yeah, I might want to rinse the mushrooms there next time. No, actually, I do that intentionally. You see, I've learned already, no, you do not have to wash off mushrooms. And I have done the research to verify that. I can even post a link, in fact. The point being is that that is not dirt on those mushrooms. That's actually spores. And it dissolves completely in the liquid, in the sauce. So I have no problem at all. I've never had a problem with just simply using the mushrooms right out of the package. So I will politely disagree with that one, and that is my reason why. I'm not being personal. I just have determined, based on my own experience, that no, you do not have to wash off mushrooms. And as I said, I'm not the only one who feels that way. All right, what do we have here? Hi from Sweden. Yes, as Jamie was mentioning earlier today, she wanted to know, and I did say that there was somebody else from Europe who had shown up, and yes, indeed, we do have a person from Sweden, and he has shown up just in time to put in the noodles, which have indeed congealed into a big clump. However, only a little bit of stir frying will loosen these things up. It's happened every time before. That's why I know it's going to happen now. So I'm not worried at all about it. All it takes, as I said, is a little bit of patience. Just like that Guns N' Roses song. Every band has their own power ballad, and I think Patience was theirs. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember Guns N' Roses when they were new. I'm still shocked today when I hear Guns N' Roses being played on classic rock radio. Back then, they were considered, a genuinely dangerous band. You know, it's like when the Stones were getting old, punk was starting to get old, and then came Guns N' Roses, and then almost immediately along with Guns N' Roses came the grunge movement. So yeah, I'm dating myself by saying that. So you can see these noodles are breaking up now. It's no longer one big clump. It means we are indeed just about done here. All I need to do now is throw in the meat. And finally, I've got some green onions to add some green to this. And there we go. You know, quite frankly, this probably would have been done in maybe a little more than half the time it's done here because I've been talking so much and taking my time here. So as you commented, yeah, you think that meat's done yet? Yeah, it's partly because I've been talking so much. I don't deny that. Even so, I'm not kidding when I said that this is a, this is really a poor quality electric stove. And so as a result, these stir fries do take a lot longer than if this was being done in a restaurant. Nonetheless, as I said, if I just concentrated on the stir fry and wasn't doing this video, probably would have taken maybe, as I said, a little more than half the time. I mean, we're running just past an hour here. Wow. Which means that just about half this time means that this would have been done in about half an hour, which is not bad at all. As I said at the beginning, that's the type of thing you could make on a work night when you come home from work. Because this looks pretty good, if I may say so, especially when you consider these are cheap ramen noodles. They're Maruchan noodles, in fact. Yeah, I mentioned something about Maruchan noodles. Okay, here's a bit of history. I looked it up. Yeah, as you know, for most of its history, Asia, Japan, China, they had rice noodles. And after all, rice was their culture, period. And then after World War II, and Japan, of course, as you know, was pretty much defeated and disarmed, and their economy and the entire country was shattered. We helped rebuild Japan's economy. And one of the things we did was, it seems that there was a huge surplus of flour at that time in the United States. And so one way to get rid of a whole lot of that extra flour, we shipped a lot of it to Japan as part of our aid packages. Japan really had no idea what to do with all of that flour. Again, their entire culture was based on rice. They had very little use for flour until someone, and I think it was in Japan, invented ramen noodles. The first flour noodles that could be made cheaply and easily. And they took off to the point where now ramen noodles or flour-based noodles are, in fact, pretty much an everyday part of Asian, Japanese, Chinese, whatever culture. So I would not say that Western culture ruined or destroyed it. I would honestly say that, it adapted. Things changed. The 20th century changed everyone in a whole lot of ways, and this was one of them. Now, if you go into the noodle section at any Asian market, you'll find a large variety of flour noodles, which really are not much different from these cheap Maruchan ramen noodles. They're still just that. They're flour. And you will also find still a large amount of rice noodles. Rice has not been driven away. As I said, oh yeah, and here are some green onions. What's this? Where'd this come from? So that is a very brief and very abbreviated history of ramen noodles. So have your ramen noodles with pride, whether you are American or Asian. Because lo and behold, what do we have here? And I noticed, by the way, the sauce has been absorbed in nicely. But lo and behold, here we are with our ramen noodle stir fry. Yes, as I said, it took longer than it should have because I was talking and moving very slowly. And nonetheless, I'd say it looks pretty darn good, if you don't mind. I'm going to have to quickly grab my phone, take a couple of pictures here. Because, yeah, of course, I have to post this online. Nice color. Nice lighting, if I may say so. On the whole, we have ourselves ramen noodle stir fry. So there you go. It did take longer than just simply boiling a packet of ramen. And no, I did not even use the flavor packet. The flavor packet I can always use in something else. But here's the result. And I think it turned out pretty good. And Peg Tooth, I occasionally collect made in occupied Japan ceramic stuff when I'm in thrift stores. I just think it's cool that all of that stuff marked that way was produced in a 10-year span. Jessica, no, not at all. He probably would have set plates for us. Oh, yeah, me meaning. Yeah. Yeah, actually, if you do drop by, yes, I will do my best to feed you. I promise you that. There were 48 stars on our flag when I was born. This is where I would throw in some shredded carrot just for a little crunch texture. That's not a bad idea, actually. Unfortunately, I don't have shredded carrots on me at this moment, but I like that. And, oh yeah, somebody got to show this one. Do you use chopsticks? Regrettably, I myself do not. And I have an honest to goodness reason for it, as I found. It's maybe it's an excuse, but I think this is a legitimate one, and that is I find that just because of the shape of my wrist, I honestly cannot use chopsticks. It does not hurt, but okay, let me show you very quickly. I have all my life had problems turning my wrist completely over, and that is something I've had since birth. It wasn't an injury. It's just, unfortunately, it's been like that since I was born. I've never really considered it a big deal. What it means, though, is that there are a few things that I do have difficulty with, and one of them just happens to be using chopsticks. That's just how it goes. All right. Right now, while this is still hot, I better break some of it out. Because this thing is still sizzling in the pan. Still, there we go. Get it all over the place too, as usual. All right, got ourselves a nice ramen noodle stir fry. Oh yeah, I definitely want to chow down on this. No denying that. It's a large wok with a single pan handle. Oh yeah, those type of woks are actually pretty common as well, with one long handle instead of the dual handles that I have. Lodge made them for a long time, then discontinued them, then briefly re-released them a year or two ago. Asian makers like Buyt Classic have made those long-handled, heavy cast iron woks, and yeah, they are very nice too. If you see one, I would not advise passing it up. And yeah, those ramen noodles. Yeah, have you ever thought that you would actually say that ramen noodles look good? Oh, God, I've got to do these mushrooms though. Love mushrooms. I'm a hobbit at heart. But yeah, there you go. That's one way, as I said, to take your cheap ramen noodles and spice them up. The most expensive part of this dish was definitely the meat. I mean, this was in fact top round steak, and it cost like maybe $6. Without the top round steak, the entire cost of this dish, including the mushrooms, would have come to like maybe $3. So that's not bad at all. And so if you throw some other kind of cheaper meat in this, like canned tuna or something, you got yourself a really inexpensive stir fry. as such, it is something that I enjoy doing, and I would indeed recommend it. And I really hope folks enjoy it. All right. We're running at about an hour and 10 minutes. I usually seem to get these things to last like maybe an hour and 20 minutes, but I'd say we've done really everything we needed to do tonight, I think, if you don't mind. Nonetheless, though, don't call me Sonny. Boy, there might actually be folks older than me here, in which case I'm additionally flattered. But still, there you go. As I mentioned, we've got ourselves a ramen noodle stir fry, and it was made again in a large cast iron wok. It's something that, as I said, I really would encourage folks to try because it's very easy to make, and it's filling and it's cheap. And especially these days, cheap is good. Still, having said all that, once again, as I always say, I do appreciate everybody here for watching this, though. And I hope you have enjoyed it. I mean, please post in the comments as well as this live chat. If you've enjoyed it, please say so. And if you have not enjoyed it, well, please say so. I'm trying to be honest here. Last week, somebody posted a comment saying, gee, I'm tired of your cats, and so I'm done with you. Okay. I don't know why he said that, but that's his choice to say so, and I did not even delete his comment. So, and nonetheless, Bookworm 73. Well, nice chat tonight. Yeah, and it's always nice to have you guys here too. You regular folks like Jessica and Bookworm 73, Papa Dan, Andrew Bonificio, and Gunter 45, and everybody here. As I've said before, it's you folks really who make all of this worth it. It's a lot of fun, but having you folks along while we do these lives makes it, well, really even more fun. So I can only thank you once again for everything. And having said that, well, once again, thank you everybody for watching. So, as I like to say every time, see y'all next Wednesday, folks. Have a good evening.